welcome to the 10th Synergy Speaker Series. We have a great guest today. Sully is here to speak to you guys about career exploration. I'm going to, in a moment, let him talk a little bit about many of his adventures, and it will be a great opportunity for you guys to hear from someone other than Ed and I and the rest of the guidance team. So, go ahead. The floor is yours.
Great. So, hi everyone. How you doing? So it's great to be here. Just to let you know a little bit about me and my background. I grew up in Frog Hollow in Hartford and lived in Hartford for the first 21 years. And in terms of careers, growing out of that neighborhood, just what I would say for me is I had opportunities. I got exposed to different things. And in terms of if you're trying to think about a career, for me it just seems like what I remember growing up is, did I have opportunities to see and experience different things? Because it's hard to know right away, what do you want to be? What do you want to do the rest of your life? And I kind of didn't do very well in school, in a formal classroom setting. I'm a kind of kinesthetic learner. I had a lot of energy. I didn't do well in classroom. I needed to be hands-on and moving. And there were some opportunities in my life that I was introduced to different things, and I found the passion. And that's what I followed. The thing was, am I rich? Did I find a career that gave me everything I wanted in terms of property and monies and all that? Not necessarily. But I would say, in terms of thinking of career choices, my thought is around you all kind of experiencing different things and getting an opportunity to find what your passion is. Because they say, you know, if you work at something that you really like and you're passionate about, it won't feel like work. You'll have fun. Whether or not you can make enough money and live the lifestyle you want to live off of what you're passionate about, that's another question. The thing is, if you're really passionate about it and you want to pursue it, if you really got a lot of passion behind it, you figure out how to piece things together. It's a matter of, I think, deciding, you know, what kind of lifestyle you want to live. But personally, I mean, I still think for myself, I'm still wondering when I'm going to grow up, you know, and it's all about trying different things, being willing to try different things. Because if you're just saying, oh, I'm just going to get a job to make money to live, well, do you have any energy behind that? Do you have any passion? Do you believe in that? Are you willing to give it a go? Are you willing to work hard towards something? So that's why I say try different things and find your passion. There's a lot of different things out there, but if you don't try things, then you won't know what you're really interested in. So I had those opportunities when I was young, and my passion was, I found the outdoors. Being an inner city kid, I found the outdoors, and I ended up kind of living an outdoor life, if you will, and instructing. You all kind of know Johan and probably Mr. Rokikio, and know that they have a passion for climbing. Well, back in my day, I was able to kind of make a little bit of a career. I didn't make a lot of money on it, but I had this passion for the mountains, and I had a passion for climbing, and I was able to find some work that was related to that. In fact, I started several businesses that related to climbing, and didn't make a lot of money off of them, but it was at least let me live to do my passion. It allowed me to work in the area that I really had a lot of passion on, and still live a lifestyle that was okay for me. And so really, in terms of one, is to say, okay, if I'm going to pursue my passion, what makes you successful in pursuing your passion is one, you got to be willing to learn about yourself as much as you can. Because if you're going to be interested in things or find things and you're saying you're going to work at it, if you know yourself, if you know, hey, I hate being outside. It's like, well, you don't want to pursue a job in a ski area, you know, or something like that. So it's one, get to know yourself And the other thing is, besides knowing yourself, is if you want to be successful and try a bunch of different things and follow your passion, you need to deal with people really well, because relationships and talking to people and meeting people is the way you get places. And if you have a baseline respect and friendly, and you show your energy and excitement, and you show your passion, I think that opens doors for career paths and career opportunities. And beyond that, I can talk a little bit about how this led me. So a couple about my businesses is one, there was a couple of friends and I that had the same passion. We started a climbing school and guiding service. And my career path is I've had many jobs to follow my career path, to support it. So to climb and teach climb, I loved climbing, I wanted to do it. So could I make money at it? Okay, we started a climbing school and I was teaching climbing. But we didn't make a lot of money, so I had to supplement it. And I took a second shift job, and I was okay with working with groups of people. And I took a second shift job in American School for the Deaf and was able to work at night 4 days a week doing that job. And maybe that got me some benefits, but that allowed me to teach climbing and pursue my passion during the day. So if you've got a passion, you can find other things that help you support that direction. And from that, I went on to opening up a climbing retail shop and doing instruction in indoor climbing. After I left that school for the deaf, I was able to kind of pursue other things in the climbing and link together more passionate things I had to kind of make a full-time job. And the thing is you might pick a passion that over time, does it still have the same, can you still do the same things? Unfortunately, I picked mountaineering, and climbing. And I was real active. I was a runner and stuff like that. And over time, if you do a lot of that, everybody's body's a little bit differently. My body broke down a little bit. I pounded my hip joints really bad. So in the process of my career, I've had hip replacements and things like that. But I still have the passion, and now I kind of manage. I still do outdoor stuff, but I manage an adventure program. I do professional development, team building, and ropes course for Riverfront Recapture. So that passion is still there, but there's always different avenues of that passion that I've been pursuing. So that's a little bit about me and my history and my thoughts on what do you do for career choices. And here's the thing is you look at your financial times, is maybe you have a financial need, I gotta get a job right away. And that's fine, find some jobs that make you money, but still pursue that passion. Go out and experience things. Go out and travel if you can, to kind of get to know yourself and to find your passion. That, I would say, you need to do that. So those are my thoughts, and I'll take any questions. I don't know if that's enough or too much, or how am I doing?
No, that's good. Now we'll just open it up for questions. Do any students have any particular questions that you guys want to ask Mr. Sullivan? Now, have you guys thought about any things that you guys are passionate about that you guys want to pursue once you guys graduate, or even that maybe that you're pursuing right now? Trendell, you had your hand raised.
Well, I was in like nursing, like the medical field.
Okay.
And, music, of course.
Music.
Yes.
And just to kind of speak to that a little bit, when I had the passion about the mountains and mountaineering, and I learned about that in the process of doing that, to learn certain things, to really be in the mountains and be safe, and to keep paying clients safe. There were certain things I had to learn. I think, you just need to know how to climb. But when you go in the big mountains, you got to learn about the weather. You got to learn about snowpack. You got to learn about avalanches. You got to learn about objective hazards. You got to learn about glaciers. And I realized that I was fascinated by all of those. And if I said right now, okay, you're going to start your life over, I loved learning about the weather. And I could see a passion that I would love to be a meteorologist. And part of it, you mentioned the medical field, part of that being a mountaineer or an instructor, and you're out in these really remote places, you had to know how to deal with medical issues. And I had a lot of medical training as part of being able to take people out into these places. Am I confident enough to take care of them if there's a medical emergency? So I got really interested as a sidelight of, boy, medicine. And I think back, but boy, if I had learned this at a younger age, or I was a really good student, I would have loved to have gone to medical school and learned something about that. So realize that you may find a passion on something, and it may lead you to other areas that all of a sudden, hey, this is great. This is something I want to study. And maybe it's a second career. Maybe it's another passion on top of a passion. Like, an example is that I wasn't really good at sports, and some of you might have a passion for basketball or other sports that you're playing. Is, okay, you can take that, you want to do that. Well, all of a sudden, maybe you get exposed to different coaching techniques, and you get a passion for being involved in basketball, but are there coaching opportunities? Are there a way to find a career off of something that, yeah, you might not be able to play basketball the entire time, but if you love the game and love being associated with it, are there other careers that go along with it? You know, you like the medical profession, what all that happens, you love sports in the medical profession, well, can you become a sports trainer? And now you're around athletics and sports all the time, because now you're a trainer. You're there, you're performing the service in an area that you studied and have a passion for, but also you're around sports in the kind of environment you like to be around. So that's kind of an offshoot. Thanks for putting that out there. Cool. Other people got some questions or comments? Thinking about your passions and stuff like that?
What if like you have like confused things because you like so many things? Like I change my mind a lot.
Uh-huh. Well, my thing on that is try them all. If you change your mind a lot, I think you just got to be willing to say, okay, I changed my mind and I want to do this. Did you really do it and pursue it enough to really make a decision around that? So I would say, hey, it's okay to change your mind, but just try it out. Go get the experience. Go get something that gives you a real taste of what you were thinking about. But change your mind and try them all. You know, you're not, you know, at the ages that you are all at right now, you're not locked into something right now, you know? And yeah, there might be financial pressures to say you got to get this, but you can get a part-time job. You can get something that you may not be excited about to hold you over while you're trying to make those decisions. And yeah, I would say go for it. Change your mind, but try them all. Make sure you get the experience. You know, don't think, oh, I think I like this, but then you change your mind and you never tried it. Figure out how somehow get exposed to it somehow.
Any other questions?
I have a comment.
Yes.
Did anybody ever go to the Gold Line program? The Gold Line program at the middle school? Anybody go?
What is that, the rock climbing thing?
It's called the Goal Line. They bring in athletes from UConn.
Oh.
And one of the things I thought was interesting, because most of the athletes, you know, UConn varsity teams, most of them really wanted to be that, you know, for profession, but they all realized their odds weren't that great. And so they all had a plan B, you know, like you said, it was, could be a medical, you know, sports medicine or something related. I thought that was good, that if you don't make it in your top choice, that you have something, because you know, especially with professional athletes, you know, an awful lot of people want to be that, and they will get there, but they get to someplace close.
And one other thing I'll mention, one of the side, quote unquote, I thought it was a side job, but it was kind of a real job. Remember I was talking about my climbing and instructing and having that passion, and I took a second shift job at American School for the Deaf. And that job was just what I thought was a fill-in initially. And I was a residential advisor. We worked in the dorms with kids. And when I took that job, I didn't know anything about sign language. And the great thing is, what was cool about that job was I got exposed. I was never good in school, so I never learned a second language. So I don't know a second spoken language, but I took the job at American School for the Deaf, and I was able to learn about a new culture and learn a new language. And now I know sign language really well. And so it was almost like sometimes those side jobs, you think, okay, I gotta follow my passion, but I gotta get this job. You might find that second job you get, there might be something in that that's very interesting, and all of a sudden kind of creates a new passion, or you learn something new. You gotta be willing to take in all these experiences and learn from them. And again, know yourself. The more you know about yourself, the easier it is for you to find your passion and kind of take the direction you need to go to make it work.
Speaking of second jobs, Mr. Hanley, or as you guys know, Johan, one of his second jobs in addition to working here in the summer, Sully is his boss. So you'll have to ask Johan, who's the better boss, me or his kid? So, but very interesting opportunity we had this past spring. All of our administrative team actually participated in an event that Sully led, and basically the administrators were able to go through a bunch of team building activities and learn about leadership in a different manner. And it was pretty wild to see a bunch of principals, a bunch of district leaders, and they're trying to figure out these simple tasks, but they're struggling with them. And central to what we needed to utilize was teamwork. And so we had very bright people, but you couldn't get across, you couldn't solve the riddle, you couldn't finish the task unless you worked together. And I know you've talked about that a great deal in AB, but that's a question that I'll throw Sully's way. Just, we know how important teamwork is, and if he could kind of talk about his experiences and why it's so important, maybe you'll value it as you're studying it next week or next month.
Yeah, so the skill of, and I mentioned it to you earlier, is dealing with people, is really for you to get careers, for you to kind of follow your passion and get doors open to you and get opportunities, is you're dealing with people. And the more you know about teamwork and just the skill sets that are involved in teamwork, all those relate to us individually working with each other. So if we know how to communicate really well, whether it's working with our class, our peers in our class, and working as a team, or whether we're communicating with an individual, all those teamwork skills are very beneficial for you to be able to open up doors. You know, kind of understanding communication, how you know, it's not, communication is not just talking, but it's listening. Are we really listening to the person that's talking to us? And I don't know if anybody ever saw the movie Pulp Fiction, an old Quentin Tarantino film. There's a great line in there that somebody's sitting down with another person and asking about, you know, just having a conversation. It says, when you talk to a person, right, and you finish talking, and then the other person starts talking, what's your mindset when they start talking? Are you waiting to talk again, or are you really listening? You know, sometimes we get in these conversations, or we got something on our mind, or we got our own agenda that we want to do, and we get into conversations, whether it's in a classroom or one-on-one, and then somebody else is putting out their perspective or their side of the story. And are we really listening to them? Or are we waiting in our mind formulating our words of what I'm going to say next? So it's understanding those little nuances in team building, and how do we cooperate? What are the pieces of really good communication? How do I make a good impression with an individual or with a team? How do I contribute? How important is role modeling? How important is my body language and my eye contact? So all of that stuff that makes a good team is extremely important, because all those skills spill over to a one-on-one piece with somebody. And again, you know, it's unfortunately our society, either fortunately or unfortunately, it's not, sometimes it's not necessarily what you know that gets you in the door, but it's who you know. And first impressions can't be changed. You know, if you come off passionate and excited, you got all the right cues going for you, well, a door may be open for you that wouldn't have necessarily been opened otherwise. And I don't know if that helps you a little bit.
Definitely. Any last minute questions? Nobody wants to ask for a funny Johan story?
Yeah.
A funny Johan story? Let's see if I know a funny Johan story. Well, I know that he was doing a route and he took a very long leader fall. He was climbing and all of a sudden he was run out beyond protection. I don't know if you heard this one before, but in climbing, you know, if you're the leader, you got the rope tied on, it's trailing behind you, and you put in pieces of protection. And he was climbing, he was way above his protection, and he took a leader fall, and it was about 30 feet. And the rope came to a stop, and he was safe. But ask him about the expression on his face the next time you see him. You know, in terms of how did that feel? You know, so I would say that's one quick one I can tell you. But we, you know, it's part of the good thing is we pursue our passions and hopefully we take in information and get. And this is maybe one thing I didn't mention is get knowledgeable. If you got passion about something, learn about it. Be willing to take in the information and know about that subject if you got the passion. Well, that's the beauty of passion because you're motivated to learn at that point. And Johan loves climbing, Mr. Bokikio loves climbing, I love climbing. We are motivated to learn all the little nuances, all the things we needed. And it's a good thing because in climbing, if you don't know those things, you could get killed, you know. So it's important in that area. I'm not saying necessarily pursue climbing or anything dangerous, but just that whole thing about making sure you got the passion and motivated to learn about the field or something that really strikes you.
Round of applause.